The Golden Horde, the state of Joly. Goods and trade. When about 750 years ago, the state of the Golden Horde arose on the vast expanses of Eurasia. It was called Ulu Ulus, or the state of Joly, after the name of the Khan Joly, the eldest son of Genghis Khan. Like any country of the East, the Golden Horde was a country of trade and a country of merchants. It was the largest center of international trade. One could find just about everything in the crowded bazaars, from silk and spices to weapons and precious stones. What goods did these merchants sell? How did they trade? And what privileges did they enjoy in the Mongol state? You will learn all about this in our program. The Golden Horde occupied the territory of Eurasia, and this location was extremely favorable as the Silk Road passed through these lands since ancient times. This trade route connected the West and the East. There was not only the exchange of goods between many states, but also the exchange of ideas, scientific knowledge, and technologies. The Mongolian state required constant income to compensate for the costs of standing armies and personal guards, for the construction of cities and palace complexes. Trade became one of the main sources of replenishment of the Golden Horde's treasury. Against the background of rapid development of cities and crafts, trade began to flourish in the Golden Horde. In many cities, local artisans traded their own products. Usually these were ceramic dishes and metal products that were in great demand among the population: knives, axes, and cauldrons. Products such as bread, fruit, and vegetables were also in great demand. Most often, the Golden Horde traded in the form of simple exchange of goods. Earthenware and ceramic dishes were exchanged for thin fabrics, silk and chintz. Leather and furs are used for spices, and luxury goods imported from the East, such as exquisite jewelry and expensive clothes. In addition to exchange in kind, there were also monetary relations. Goods were bought and sold with coins. For the flourishing of international trade, the Golden Horde began to ensure not only the safety of the roads, but first of all, it guaranteed compliance with market conditions and exchange rates. Foreign merchants usually stayed at a special city residence where they lived, and also stored their goods there. This is how shopping areas and bazaars began to form. It is always difficult to overcome long distances, especially in the Middle Ages. Camels are unique animals that allowed humans to make the most difficult and long journeys. They were able to pass through the arid steppes and the waterless deserts. along quicksand and thorny paths. They could pass where no other animal could, not a horse, donkey, or even a mule. Numerous long caravans went to India, Asia Minor, and China. Trade cities grew and flourished on these caravan routes. During long journeys, the camel walked 30 to 40 kilometers a day and carried packs of up to 300 kilograms, almost half their own weight, and the strongest as much as they themselves weighed, 700 kilograms. It would be difficult to imagine how the history of mankind would have developed and how trade would have evolved if not for the help of these amazing animals. What a merchant took with him for sale depended primarily on which country or region he was going to go to. Thanks to the Silk Road, there were transit trades taking place. Trade caravans moved from China to Asia, and then to European countries. From China, the route passed through many cities, and there were several of them. The most basic route was from China to the Black Sea coast. The caravan went through Khiva to Urgench, and then passed through Saraychik, the capital of the Golden Horde, the city of Sarai Batu, followed by the cities of Majar and Azak, sown the road. The path ended in the port cities of the Black Sea. From the large cities Crimean Bakshish Sarai and Kaffa, ships were loaded and set off further. Merchant ships went through the Black Sea to the ports of Byzantium and other states. Wax and honey were exported from the Russian principalities. Even merchant waxers appeared, whose specialization was exclusively wax. They sold over 300 tons annually. Honey has always been produced many times more than wax. Natural fur was also in great demand. It was not difficult to get the fur of a beaver, a marten, sable, or fox, and many fur animals lived in the forests. Fur had become one of the main commodities that brought considerable income to the treasury of the Golden Horde. Carpets were brought from Central Asia, which were considered the most beautiful in the world. They were especially in great demand in Italy. And of course, they brought silk. Due to its lightness, compactness, and high cost, it was an ideal trade item for long-distance transportation. The Venetian merchant Marco Polo was the first to call the caravan routes Silk Roads. In addition to silk, merchants from China brought the West famous porcelain dishes. Only in China did they possess the secret of making these fine and sonorous porcelain, so it was expensive in the European markets. Chinese paper was also highly valued. The Hans of the Golden Horde were interested in generating income for the caravans among the Great Silk Road and took a whole range of effective measures to eradicate robbers who attacked the caravans. Caravanserais were built to house merchants, and they were provided with guides and paramilitary guards. merchants could choose between different route options, determining the safest and the most reliable. Despite the grave dangers, the ranks of traders multiplied. They hoped for a big profit, and the opportunity to get rich attracted enterprising, risk-seeking people and adventure seekers to the trade. I have everything ready. I've given the order to pack the goods and bales and to load them onto the camels. The caravan will leave the city at dawn, the merchant Kurush said to his wife. Zuhra looked at her husband with sadness and anxiety. She knew how difficult and dangerous the path to those distant countries of the Mongols was. The merchant reassured his wife, saying that although the path would be long, it would not be so dangerous. Zuhra's heart sank at the thought of what could happen to her dear Kurush on the way. Don't cry, my love, Kurush said affectionately. Do not worry. I will sell my goods, and we will multiply our wealth by many times. The Khan has set up checkpoints along the road, and now you have to pay the fare. But there are not any robbers on the road. My caravan will not be plundered. In addition, a rich merchant named Oman will meet me in the capital of the Golden Horde, the city of Sarai. I will have luck. The merchant Oman welcomed Kurush warmly and cordially. Kurush, you must choose the best gifts for the Khan, said the merchant Oman. And if we speak about gems, it is better to present him rubies. And what is the best? Kurush asked. Yes, most importantly, don't be stingy. Let me tell you a story, Oman continued. One merchant arrived from a distant country, and they appeared before the great Khan in the palace. When they appeared before the Khan, each presented their gifts, the best of his goods. From some there were fine silk, and others gave him precious stones. Some gave him unprecedented, wonderful animals. The Khan was pleased as he examined the gifts. When it came to the merchant's turn, he became greedy, and he changed his mind about giving the Khan his expensive ring. Instead, he took off the ring with a smaller stone from his hand. And when he presented the gift to the Khan, he could not hide his rich ring from the Khan's eyes. Kurush listened to his good friend carefully and nodded his head, specifying and asking questions. Oman then continued his story. At first, the Khan frowned, but then he laughed and said to the merchant, "Do you, merchant, consider yourself to be higher than me? You give me a ring that is cheaper than the one that sparkles on your finger. But in my state, there is no one more important than me. Go away." Oman animatedly told his story to his guest. "From now on, all the shopping areas are closed to you, and my soldiers will not protect you from robbers. Imagine, Kurush, this is what the Khan said, and he drove him away." Kurush arranged jewelry made of precious stones, pearls, and amber on a silver tray. He chose the best of them for the Khan. Soon the Mongolian envoys came in and said that the Khan was expecting them. Genghis Khan started the tradition of participation of the Mongolian nobility in trade operations. After peace was made with the Khwarezm Shah Mohammed, the Khan ordered his relatives and associates to invest in a caravan going to Khwarezm for trade. Under Mengu Timur Khan, the process of establishing diplomatic trade relations with the Western merchants began. In the 1260s, the Khan signed a Khan's ayrılık to the Grand Duke of Vladimir. This allowed European merchants to carry out trade in the territory of the Golden Horde. At the beginning of the 14th century, during the reign of Tokhta Khan, a nationwide monetary reform was carried out, which determined the further development and flourishing of trade. The reform began by banning old coins and introducing a clear weight for each coin. These changes predetermined the flourishing of the Golden Horde trade. In the middle of the 14th century, during the reign of Uzbek and Janibek Khans, trade caravan routes became not only safe, but also comfortable. Caravanserais were well located at the distance of a day's journey of the camel caravans, one from another. With the coming to power of Khan Tokhtamış in 1380, a monetary and weight reform was carried out in the country. In the center of coin production, a single weight rate was established for silver coins of 1.4 grams and 1.7 grams for copper coins called pools. Trade of the Golden Horde. 4.5 kilometers an hour was the speed of the camel caravan. The length of the day's passage of the loaded caravan could reach 35 kilometers. Venetian merchants brought a lot of leather from the Golden Horde, because this leather was of a very high quality. Paizu was the name of a special token. It was like a passport. The token was in the form of a plate. It was worn around the waist. The Golden Horde had an insurance system. The Khan assigned a payment to the merchant who was robbed. Ortak was the name of the Khan's representative, who traded on his behalf. These merchants used male horses and armed guards free of charge. They were exempted from paying tolls. In 1343, Khan Janibek destroyed a settlement that belonged to the Italian merchants and expelled them from the city. This happened because of the murder of the merchant Hoja Omar, who died due to the fault of a Venetian merchant. "3% of the value of goods was a commercial fee. At that time, it was a fairly low rate that the Golden Horde collected from Italian merchants. Surprisingly, white crystals of salt, which are so cheap nowadays, in the Golden Horde provided the Khan rulers with a constant flow of gold and silver. The price of salt in the Mongolian state was so high that it played the role of money. Thanks to the information preserved by the Italian traveler Marco Polo, we know that the Golden Horde's money could be minted from salt. This is how he described the process of making salt. The brine was boiled in small cauldrons. An hour later, salt took the form of dough, and they made something that looked like pies from them. They bore the Majesty's mark, and nobody had the right to make them except his own officials. In the Golden Horde, salt trade flourished and brought a huge income to the state treasury. the coins, the correctness of their geometric shape, and the quality of the minting were a kind of sign of the development of the state. Studying archaeological excavations, archaeologists managed to find out what coins were in circulation on the territory of the Golden Horde. The most common monetary unit in the Golden Horde was a copper coin called a pool. There were a great many types of minting of the Golden Horde coins. In each part of the country, they were issued in their own manner. A series of monetary reforms carried out allowed the Mongolian rulers to streamline the issue of coins and to strengthen their market rate. A little later, silver coins began to appear in the Golden Horde. The Golden Horde silver coin was called a dang. On the face of the dang was written the name of the Khan, his title, and the wishes for all kinds of blessings. The reverse side of the coin bore the name of the Ulus, where the coin was minted, and the date of issue. The coin could be decorated with various designs and ornaments. After the adoption of Islam in the Golden Horde, the images on the Horde coins were replaced by inscriptions in Arabic. Goods and trade in the Golden Horde. Tamga was the name of a single universal tax. The Russian word for customs, tamoshnya, comes from this word. $2,500 tons of cargo was the total volume of goods in the middle of the 13th century. This cargo was transported by Venetian merchants from the Golden Horde to the cities of Europe. In the middle of the 14th century, a land tax was established. This allowed Venice to establish commercial settlements in the Golden Horde. In 1313, Uzbek Khan ascended to the throne of the Golden Horde. Muslim merchants took an active part in the political life of the country and helped the Khan to establish himself on the throne. 30,000 dinars is what Uzbek Khan had to borrow from his merchants. This is equivalent to 280 kilograms of silver. The Khan needed this money for a wedding delegation to Egypt. "275 days is how long it takes to get from the Golden Horde to China." An Italian merchant, Francesco Pegalotti, also testified to this. The territory of Kazakhstan is historically associated with the era of the Golden Horde. Numerous artifacts were discovered by scholars during excavations of the Golden Horde cities and settlements. Archaeologists most often find red clay pottery and fragments of cast iron cauldrons. The museums of our country carefully stored the Golden Horde coins, jewelry, and household items. These valuable finds introduce us to the unique heritage of the Golden Horde era.